Hi, this is just a flower box on a windowsill to keep it nice and loose and just enjoy picking up colours. Nothing's been pre-sketched. It's just like a bit of a square for the window, and I put in the flowers and some greenery first before I kind of add the windowsill. Decide yourself what ones you want. Bit of pink, bit of purple. As you see, the brush I'm using now it's a number 10, but it's like a fat round brush and it has a lovely little nib on the top. That's just the smaller one, but I do quite like the thicker one. So yeah, I'm just kind of adding some flowers in, and the paper is dry, but my brush is just going in with I've done washes on a plate, so I'm just kind of adding some leaves. Again, nothing's been thought of in my head. It's just as I go, and just to have fun, to let the colours bleed into each other. That's the whole magic about watercolour, is that when they do bleed into each other, it can be quite gorgeous. So there I just tapped in, as you see the orange sort of bleeding into the yellow there. So I'm just adding some leaves there. Hold your brush sort of nice and loose, and I'm just kind of dabbing some other colours. And when you think of your colours, blues can go into greens can go into blues. Obviously if you put sort of red into a green, it'll go a kind of a mucky colour. So I've sort of thought of where I'll add my colours, but again, don't sort of get all caught up on sort of those things either, not when you're starting. This is a really nice kind of beginner's painting, and it's a lovely springtime painting. So I'm just sort of filling in the areas now with leaves. So I've kind of added my colours, and and again, it's all bleeding into each other. Just adding a few more colours, and now I'm going to do the window box. So I'm just that's a kind of a nice terracotta brown colour, and I'll just add that in. And again, my colours are slightly bleeding into the terracotta, which is lovely. And now just doing the windowsill. So I love to mix a blue and a purple. Now I know there's many shades of blues and purples, and you can play around with it. I just think it's a lovely kind of shadow effect. So instead of if you see a shadow and you might think, oh, that's grey, there's often, there is obviously so many colours around us. So that was the way I brought that down, is like a wash. So I started off with the colour heavier underneath the window there and just brought it down without any paint. Now I'm just filling in underneath, because there'd be a kind of a shadow. So I'm sort of imagining that the window is slightly in shadow as well, and I'm adding some darker blue underneath the pot. I think when you, with watercolours, you can layer. So this is just I haven't waited for anything to dry. I've just gone in and just gone for it. But so now I'm putting in, at home in where I grew up in County Clare, my parents, money was tight, but whenever they kind of did get something made, they sort of saved up and got something made well, and these were beautiful wooden windows that were made by a local sawmill, which I loved. So, and just sort of what I'm doing there now is I'm adding a darker colour just on the inside. So again, that's like a sort of a shade. What it sort of does is it creates, instead of looking flat, it looks 3D-ish. And I suppose I often think when I'm doing a painting as well, what direction is the light coming from? So here we could say the light is, maybe it's a bright day and the light is coming straight down, so it's like a 12 o'clock midday sun. It's Ray. Oh, I swear to God, I've done this video like 6 times, and every time the dogs have found me, and they just know. They know they're not meant to be barking. He's going to do it again. Anyway, so now I'm sort of adding in, this would be like, the inset of the wall, especially on an old cottage. And add your colours, throw in a bit here and a bit there, and never overbrush too much, because you can sort of, sometimes the colour can lift and you lose that magic, so there's that was more or less all the colours apart from the browns, and then just to a little sort of the glass effect, just a little kind of a reflection on there. Now, and I did something after this. I thought, what could we do? You could make this and send it to somebody. I did a Happy Easter, and I didn't like it. But anyway, see what happened here is I let it bleed too much. I should have probably let that dry or not done it so close onto the wet paint, because it kind of looked a wee bit messy. But and then you can make